I poured all of myself into this. I've long been a huge fan of the action genre, and this is kind of my humble offering to a genre I love so much. You know, I wanted to infuse it with some culture and social resonance, along with, you know, some cool kicks, punches, and the odd elbow here or there. I felt a huge responsibility to not only the kind of mythology that this story is based on, but, you know, these incredible actors that came at a really trying time in history and gave me their all.
This is a story that gets us on board emotionally with the drive of vengeance, which is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful force in film. And it does it so well. He gets you on board with such a personal and emotional mission, and with a character of such humility that all we want to do is see him succeed.
First and foremost, I think it's a revenge film about faith. The beauty of religion, particularly in an uneducated kind of populace where, you know, the iconographies, the stories can be incredible teachers and inspirations and touch points for children, but at the same time how it can be monetized and weaponized. So there's that, and then there's also the idea of, you know, the caste system in India. From the greatest action films like, you know, Game of Death with Bruce Lee, where he has to work his way up the pagoda to fight, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and that amazing sequence at the end where the bosses get tougher and bigger and badder. I took that and I was like, wouldn't that be amazing to kind of start in this, like, you know, this club that this young man has to infiltrate, where he's in this windowless hellhole in this kitchen serving dishes to the elite above him, and then he gets to the next layer where he's, you know, in the land of kings. The next layer above that is, you know, where the man-made gods are, and he must challenge those men too, the untouchables, the true untouchables. So a lot of the tropes of the genre I try to, you know, kind of bake in and kind of give different context to with this story.
The tone of the violence and the action is obviously gritty and cinematically beautiful. I'm struck with how many shots that feel like one take, that feel so fluid and visceral. And then Dev, as a physical performer, as a fighter, has such a unique action quality to his movement. It's really wonderful to watch, and that's such a surprise because I can't do that.
I wanted to create an action hero that wasn't like bursting out of his suit. He had to be a believable waiter. The idea was like to try and get as close to Bruce Lee shredded as possible. So it was lettuce, sweet potato, and salmon 3 times a day, every day, for months, while the crew was having the most delicious Indonesian food. And I would wake up in the morning and, you know, be doing all of that action choreography, hitting the rubber bands, you know, doing my best Jane Fonda. And it was a lot, but yeah, he's kind of hopefully a more attainable, more realistic, authentic look at what an underdog Avenger would look like.
We're all familiar with Dev Patel from Slumdog Millionaire and the work he's created after that. Audience members are gonna recognize Dev grown up and on a bloodthirsty crusade against the hypocrisy and oppression of an entire society.
Yeah, I think people might be surprised when they see me drenched in blood, you know, biting a knife into someone's neck. They're like, God, Dev Patel's got a really sick brain. I grew up, I mean, I remember the first film that really captivated me. I snuck downstairs and watched Bruce Lee and Enter the Dragon through the banister way past my bedtime. And I was utterly enthralled by this man with a similar pigment to me, dark hair. That became my obsession with the action genre, from, you know, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, Sammo Hung, then the Indonesian guys that did the raids, and then I got introduced to the Korean cinema who, you know, they do revenge better than anyone. To take those kind of influences plus, you know, the kind of Bollywood cinema that my parents were also watching and kind of like mash these things together to kind of make this, you know, kind of bombastic, strange cultural cocktail, which is me. Slightly awkward and unruly at times too, but with a lot of heart. I think that's what this film is. You know, at its core, it's an anthem for the underdog. He's a man dealing with extreme trauma, and he fails and tries and fails again. And it's only when he finds other underdogs like himself that, you know, can believe in him and build him up, that he really, finds his true potential.
When people watch Monkey Man, I know for a fact that there's going to be a lot of, oh, yo, no, 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 no. Oh! There's going to be a lot of that. It's got incredible action. It's got amazing heart. It's got a fascinating message. It's got a vibe like you've never seen. And it's got Dev Patel like you've never seen him. And he's a movie star. And he's one of the great directors in a first-time film that I've seen.
Dev is extremely detail-oriented. He is uncompromising in creative vision, and he sees things through even when he's faced with odds that most people would totally curl up and die if they were facing. Obstacles at every turn, Dev doing an entire fight sequence with a broken hand, Dev shooting footage on his iPhone in a bathtub of a hotel, Dev arguing with governmental bureaucracy. I mean, this was some hardcore pioneering it took to make this film.
Dev has created a very distinct action vibe and a world that is untapped from an action movie perspective, and a vibe that is so many things. It's beautiful, it's tragic, it's violent, but above all, what Dev has managed to package it in is something that feels really cool, but not at the risk of our emotional investment in the character and the story.
At its core, it's about the earth, it's about roots, it's an ode to an incredible mother as well, and how far someone will go to avenge someone he loves so dearly, his best friend, his teacher, his idol. For me, I just think I think there's a bit in it for everyone, really, but more than anything, I hope people are engaged in it and inspired by it.
The action topped the best action films you see around. So when he did that, in my opinion, when he was able to act in these sequences that were so well choreographed, had such fluidity, had so much character to the action, I know that just as an action film and as a revenge film, this thing is going to be huge.
It's not like your usual action flick that, just starts with action and keeps going. There is plotting and building and a world build, and it's pensive, and then it absolutely explodes in the second act, and it's absolute mayhem. And I think we got this huge reception at this festival, South by Southwest. People were whooping and hollering and throwing popcorn at the screen, and I'd never seen anything like it. So I think it's a fun film.
Do you remember me now?